There is a very special land of dark forests and remote high alpine meadows where one of the most interesting but seldom seen animals in the wild kingdom roams. We call him the bear. And even his name carries with it a special meaning. Bear stands for graceful power and brute strength. This awesome animal may appear friendly, even jolly, as he ambles through his secluded wild world, but he can change quickly into a surly, aggressive animal. The bears that inhabit America are the black bear, grizzly bear, brown bear, and polar bear. Though they are similar in many ways, they are also very different from each other in their habits, lifestyles, and habitat. Let's take a closer look at this very interesting animal we call the bear. Biologically, a bear is classified as an omnivore, meaning it will eat both plants and meat. This bear may seem like nothing more than a harmless teddy bear as it grazes on grass. But when a mouse scurries by, in ancient Indian lore, the bear held a very special place. The constellation of stars in the form of a bear were considered by early man to be the source of all energy in the universe, which furnished both rain and food. Most Native American tribes considered the bear to be half man and half animal. No doubt, this evolved from a bear's tendency to stand upright like a human when it encountered something unusual. Early Indians also believed that a bear could read their thoughts and even understand their language. So when an Indian went out to hunt a bear, he told the entire village that he was going after a deer or an elk, but not a bear. Even when a bear was spotted, the Indian tried to confuse the bear by thinking, "I am not after this bear in front of me. I am after something else." When a bear was slain, it was the custom to address the dead animal as grandfather or grandmother and to apologize for having to kill it. The slain bear was reassured that it would be treated with respect by eating all of it and using its hide for clothing. Even today, the bear holds a special place in the natural world. Its surly nature and brute strength causes a mixture of wariness and awe in anyone fortunate enough to see a bear in the wild. But man is also drawn to the bear because its dignified and independent nature reminds us so much of ourselves. The most common bear in America is the black bear. However, this animal is secretive by nature and is not often seen by humans, even in areas where bears are common due to its nocturnal nature. Though it may be active at any time of day, it is most likely to be seen during the late evening or very early morning hours. The black bear is also the smallest of America's bears, but he is still a very powerful animal. Though a black bear will prey on other animals when the opportunity arises, its main food source is grass and plants. In the hardwood forests of the Midwest and East, black bears feed heavily on acorns and beech nuts in the fall. West, berries and fruit are a large part of the bear's summer diet. When the first snows of winter begin to fall, black bears, like the other bears of America, are not able to find food during the harsh winter months, so the bear digs a den into a side hill or under tree roots. After one last look around, this black bear will enter its den and sleep through the cold, blustery winter. This is called hibernation. When the warm spring sun warms the land, the bear comes out of its den and feasts on succulent green grass. The animal we call the black bear belongs to a family called Ursus americanus. However, not just bears that are black-colored belong to this family. This species actually comes in a variety of colors, ranging from brown to blonde. But the most common color is black. Here are two black bears, and they illustrate just how varied black bear coloring can be. The average weight of a mature black bear male is about 300 pounds, with females weighing about a third less. A black bear's track will show a long heel pad on its rear paws, but its front paws leave only a palm print with short claws. Black bears have poor eyesight, and their hearing is only average, but their sense of smell is very keen, and they have been known to travel more than a mile after catching the scent of food. Black bears are also excellent climbers, and when startled are quick to scoot up a tree for safety. A male black bear will normally range about 15 miles, but a female's range is less. However, when specific food sources are in season, such as huckleberries in the mountains, a black bear may migrate many miles to gorge on this high-energy food. The black bear is found throughout much of Canada and the United States, from Alaska down to Florida. And even in the populated eastern states, the black bear is fairly common, where it is adapting quite well. The black bear prefers the seclusion of heavy cover. Swampy ground and brush thickets not only provide plenty of plants and grass to eat, but they also provide security for this solitary animal. In mountainous country, the black bear prefers heavily forested areas. This amazing animal's combination of range and habitat varies from the alder thickets of Alaska in the north down to the mesquite and sagebrush country of Mexico, where it lives quite well, even under the scorching hot desert sun. Black bears mate around the first week in June. A male, called a boar, will roam over many miles looking for a female, called a sow, to mate. This is the only time when this normally solitary animal seeks out the company of another bear. A sow black bear will give birth in its den during hibernation, where both the baby bears and the mother snooze away the cold, snowy, wintry months. Black bear babies, called cubs, emerge in early spring when the sow comes out of hibernation. A cub's fur is a fuzzy charcoal brown. As the cub becomes more comfortable with its surroundings, it begins to explore more. This happy cub scoots through the forest, climbing trees and searching for playmates. Suddenly, it spots another cub out exploring also. And, well, you know what happens when the two youngsters get together. America's black bear is a conservation success story. It had almost disappeared from many of its historic ranges due to loss of habitat. But as a result of intense black bear conservation programs, the black bear today is reclaiming much of its former range. The best place to see black bears in the wild is in the western national parks, especially Yellowstone and Glacier National Parks and surrounding areas. The grizzly bear is a huge, powerfully built beast that has become the symbol of all that is still wild and free in America. As this great bear lumbers over his domain, he steps aside for no other creature except man, and then only grudgingly. Conflicts between grizzly bears and humans have occurred through the ages. Indians greatly feared and respected the grizzly and sought its spiritual courage to defeat their enemies. When the great explorers Lewis and Clark crossed into the open plains west of the Mississippi River, they often experienced frightening confrontations with a huge grizzled bear, and that's how the grizzly bear got its name. An excerpt from Meriwether Lewis's diary read, "Two of my men fired on a grizzly bear, and immediately the monster ran after them with open mouth. The bear pursued and had almost overtaken the men. The men threw down their guns and then threw themselves off of a 20-foot-high bank into the river, but the enraged beast followed them. It was only the firing of several more shots by others into the horrible beast that saved my men from sure death." Though a grizzly will prey on other animals, its main diet is grass and plants. It also eats berries and fruit. The grizzly also eats fish, especially in Alaska, where spawning salmon fill creeks and make catching them easy. A grizzly bear may range in color from dark brown to almost blonde. But the average color is light brown. A mature male grizzly will weigh about 850 pounds, and a female will usually weigh about a third less. A grizzly has two physical features that separate it from a black bear. Its face tends to be flat or dished, while a black bear's head is more rounded. Also, a grizzly has a very noticeable hump above its shoulders. And unlike a black bear, who has very short claws, a grizzly bear's claws are very long, often 4 inches or more. Historically, the grizzly bear ranged throughout the western United States, especially in the open plains country. But the encroachment of civilization caused the grizzly bear to disappear from the open plains. Today, a small but growing population of grizzlies can be found in Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho. However, there is a large population of grizzly bears in western Canada and Alaska. The grizzly bear is a solitary animal and prefers to live in remote areas far from civilization. It likes the open country, such as the treeless tundra in Alaska, where it digs for insects, rodents, and plants. Even in the heavily forested Rocky Mountains of the West, the grizzly prefers the open alpine meadows above timberline, where it can roam in search of food. Mating season occurs in June. A grizzly female first mates when she is 3 years old and then mates every second or third year. A sow will keep her cubs with her for 2 years or until the next mating season. It is not unusual to see a sow grizzly with 2-year-old cubs almost as large as her. The grizzly is a surly loner, and the only time a male and female get together is during mating season. In fact, After the cubs are born, a female must protect her cubs from a male grizzly, who may kill the cubs. Grizzly cubs are born 6 months after mating season, while the sow is in hibernation. A grizzly cub has fuzzy dark brown fur. It stays close to its mother when first out of hibernation, but as it becomes more familiar with its new home, it will begin to explore. This cub romps happily through the forest and climbs trees. It then explores a nearby pond to inspect some of the other wildlife. Everywhere it turns, there are new lessons to be learned, and this cub quickly discovers that logs can be slippery. Whoa! Whoa, that's better. This sow grizzly and cub stop to rest and nurse in soft green grass. This scene may appear peaceful, but a sow grizzly bear is a very protective mother, and most grizzly-human conflicts happen when a hiker stumbles onto a sow with her cub. The grizzly was once on the verge of extinction in the western United States. However, in recent years, wildlife biologists have transplanted bears into several remote areas in its former range. That, plus favorable public opinion, has resulted in an increase in the population of this great bear. The brown bear is closely related to the grizzly bear, but it grows almost twice as large. In fact, some scientists believe that both the brown bear and grizzly are virtually the same species. Generally, bears within 50 miles of the coast are known as brown bears, and the inland bears as grizzlies. Though this huge bear is truly an omnivore, with a diet of plants, grass, and other animals, it is best known for its antics as a fisherman. When large schools of salmon migrate upstream to spawn, the bears gorge on the fish and seem oblivious at this time of year even to the presence of humans nearby. So plentiful are the salmon that a brown bear will catch one and eat only a small portion before moving on to catch another fish. Wildlife biologists believe that it is the availability of large quantities of this high-protein fish that allow the bear to grow so big. The fall salmon spawning season is a very peaceful time of year for the brown bear. And these giant bears often cavort and play when their bellies are full. Mature male brown bear will weigh 1,500 pounds or more. Its face is also flat and dished out like a grizzly's, and it also has a large hump above its shoulders, but its claws are shorter than a grizzly's. The brown bear roams only along the narrow coastal areas of southern Alaska and western British Columbia. This range is tied directly to those ocean-feeding streams where salmon migrate to spawn. One of the most well-known brown bear areas is Kodiak Island in southeast Alaska, where some of the largest brown bears live. In fact, these extra-large bears are often called Kodiak bears, a term which means that they are bigger than other brown bears. Brown bears are not particular about where they live, as long as it's close to the salmon spawning streams. In most coastal areas, thick alder brush covers the land, and the brown bear creates huge trails as it moves between feeding grounds. Brown bear mating season occurs in July. The brown bear is a solitary animal, and mating season is the only time of year when a male and female bear seek each other's company. A female will first mate at 3 years of age, and then every second or third year after that. She keeps her cubs with her for 2 years until the next mating season. Brown bear cubs are born during hibernation. A cub usually has a fuzzy, dark brown coat of fur. Cubs stay with the sow for the first 2 years. During the second year, the cub may weigh several hundred pounds and approach the size of the sow, but it still needs to be protected from an adult boar who may attack and kill it. The brown bear is one of the most watchable bears. Fortunately, this huge bear is also fairly tolerant of human activity nearby, especially during the salmon spawning season when food is plentiful, and visitors are thrilled to watch these giant brown bears fishing. The polar bear inhabits the frozen wastes of the North Country, where ice and snow never leave. In this hostile climate, where few other animals can survive, the polar bear not only survives, but actually lives quite comfortably. Unlike the other bears of America, the polar bear is not an omnivore. It is strictly a predator. Most of its prey comes from the sea. Seals are the prime food source of the polar bear. Most bears, including the mighty brown bear, will retreat or at least grudgingly move aside for man. But the polar bear does not consider any living thing as a danger. Therefore, the captivating sight of a beautiful polar bear can be very misleading because, above all else, the polar bear is a predator, and he looks upon everything as a possible source of food. There never seems to be enough food in this land of ice and snow, and competition among polar bears is fierce. A chance meeting between two bears usually results in growling threats and bluffing, although sometimes fighting does occur. Occasionally, two younger adult bears will engage in a bit of friendly roughhousing. A polar bear has the perfect camouflage for hunting amid the ice and snow. His coat varies from a yellowish white to pure white. And the last thing that many a startled Eskimo saw in his lifetime was a pile of snow that suddenly erupted into a hungry polar bear. Except for a black nose and pale blue eyes, the polar bear is completely white. A mature male polar bear weighs about 1,200 pounds and measures about 7.5 feet from head to tail. A female will average about 900 pounds. Its head is rounded and appears smallish compared to the rest of its body. The polar bear's range begins where just about all other land mammal life ends. It inhabits the extremes of the Arctic, from the Bering Sea along the northern coast of Alaska, through the islands in the Beaufort Sea, and along the coast of Greenland. The southernmost range of the polar bear is Hudson Bay, where it occasionally encounters trees and bushes. Polar bears can be found anywhere the seals live, which is usually along a rocky coastline. The bears also prowl the edges of ice floes, where they search for sign of recent seal activity. Polar bears mate in July, when the most bitter Arctic weather has passed. Polar bears are solitary hunters who prefer to be alone, and mating season is just about the only time when two adult bears will be seen together. Polar bear babies are born during January, while the sow is sleeping away the most bitter winter weather snug in a cave dug into the snow. Polar bear babies are covered with a soft white covering of fur. They stay close to the sow at all times because a hungry boar would kill and eat any cub not protected by its mother. Even in the frigid Arctic, the nurturing of the young bears is necessary. This sow polar bear stops her search for seals long enough to nurse her two cubs. The polar bear is one of the most beautiful but dangerous of bears. It lives in such a harsh environment that few humans have even seen one. However, the bears often congregate in an area near the town of Churchill, Manitoba, where tour buses take adventure seekers right into the midst of the bears. The bears are plentiful and thrilling to watch. Occasionally, a bear even visits the bus and reminds its occupants what he thinks of them. Let's take a brief look at these other bear species that inhabit the far corners of the world. The giant panda bear is the most well-known of the world's exotic bears. Its color is white with black on its legs, shoulders, and face. A mature panda will weigh about 300 pounds. Though it looks cute, the panda can become a ferocious killer when threatened or startled. It inhabits the remote regions of China, Tibet, and Burma. It prefers cold coniferous forests in the harsher climates, and the dense stands of bamboo in its warmer range, where it eats bamboo, other plants, small animals, birds, and fish. The Himalayan bear is also called the moon bear because it has a white crescent on its chest. It weighs about 250 pounds and has a shaggy coat of soft black fur. It is found in China, southern Russia, and the Himalayan mountains of Tibet. Its diet consists mainly of grass and plants, but it will also eat small animals when given the opportunity. The sloth bear is so named because it moves slowly, and its long mouth and lips resemble a sloth's. Its long snout allows it to suck up termites after its powerful claws have ripped apart a bug-infested log or stump. The sloth bear weighs about 200 pounds, and has shaggy black fur on its back and shoulders, but its belly and underlegs are bare. Most of its diet is insects, but it will also eat fruits, berries, and flowers. It is found in northern India and also in Sri Lanka. The sloth bear is non-aggressive, but when threatened or startled, it is capable of inflicting terrible damage with its powerful legs and long claws. The sun bear is the smallest of the bears of the world, weighing only about 100 pounds. It has short, black fur. The sun bear is found in the dense tropical forests of India, China, and Malaysia, where it eats plants, animals, and fruits. The spectacled bear is the only bear living in the southern hemisphere. It inhabits the forests of South America, where it eats mostly palm nuts, berries, and plants. The spectacled bear is so named because it has white spots on its chest. A mature bear will weigh about 200 pounds, and it has long black fur. This wild place, where this solitary animal we call the bear lives, is a land of pristine beauty and quiet solitude. In fact, words are not necessary to express this special land and its lumbering giants.